Hey, it's Janelle. Welcome to another vlog. Apologies for the lighting. It is storming outside and it ain't gonna stop anytime soon. So we're just going with it. I'm also unwell, but hopefully that doesn't affect. Oh, it's starting well. Hopefully that doesn't affect my ability to talk about these books. Oh God, I was a bit too hopeful. I'm going to do my best. So this week I decided to do a thick books reading vlog because sometimes the big books end up sitting on my TBR for a long time because I'm rarely in the mood for a 400 plus page book. So I thought, let's just do a vlog about it and that way I will get them read. I read the thickest books that were available because there were some big girls on there that just weren't at my library. I'm on a waiting list a mile long. The women. So we're going to start with the fattest tome, and that was Lost Gods by Brum. So this weighed in at 496 pages, so close to 500, but just shy. This is a fantasy dark horror, is what the genre is, and I was quite surprised. I have read Slewfoot. I quite enjoyed it, but I wasn't expecting to enjoy myself this much. So to me, this book was like Constantine meets Dante's Inferno. You have a book where there are gods, demons, and angels, and also the main character, an ex-convict who has to fight through the depths of purgatory so that he can make his way back to his wife and his unborn daughter to save them. And I don't want to spoil from who, but there is a character named Lamia in here, and if you are familiar with Greek mythology, then you'll have an idea of what he was facing. But basically you're viewing his journey through all of these areas in hell and all of these cliques in hell, all of the gods. There are gods from all of the pantheons in there, except you don't see the ones really from Christianity, Buddhism, and Muslim. Okay. Except I think you do see Mother Mary. There's a character there named Mary, and it feels like Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene. So maybe her. But the baddest bitch in this is Sekhmet. Oh my God, loved her. Again, they've got her in a Sphinx form and just was living for all of their scenes. But this is dark. It's kind of funny though, in a way. It feels a bit over the top ridiculous. So I didn't find it that terrifying, even though there's a lot of body horror in this and there's some violence and obviously the paranormal aspect of these monsters and demons. But I really enjoyed it. And I found it to be quite the romp. There were maybe some bits I felt could have been taken out to improve pacing, but there's a whole lot going on with this hick ex-convict and his quest. He has to meet certain people, he has to do certain things, he has to figure out who's actually good and who's bad. So it's got that, you know, tried and true trope of are the monsters the real monsters or not. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I had a fun time. I feel bad for saying fun because it is a dark book. Look, there's some things I didn't agree with. Like there was a lot of gendered tropes and sexism in this. And I don't agree with the view that all unbaptized babies go to purgatory. That's just my opinion. So there were some things that I didn't like, but overall, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I just wasn't expecting it to be this sort of quest kind of book, but it is a quest book. And it doesn't end in a typically happy ever after. So I really like that about Brum. They keep you guessing as to how it's going to end because they don't do the predictable route in terms of their conclusions. But yeah, Lost Gods by Brum was a 4.5 stars. Also, they do have beautiful illustrations. I'll see if I can put some pictures up if Chanel, who is editing this, remembers. I don't know, my hair at the moment is giving me Noel Fielding. I don't know if you guys see it, but especially if I do this, I feel like it's Noel. Old Greg.
I'm old Greg. Pleased to meet you.
The next book that I picked was House of Longing by Tara Calaby, which is 416 pages. I'm reading this for November's book club at my library. I would not have pushed through this otherwise. It's not for me. So this is an historical lesbian fiction set in Australia. So you have a woman named Charlotte and she is living in the 1890s in Melbourne. Guys, I live in Melbourne, okay? And even I felt that with the amount of street name dropping, this felt like a tourism advertisement, okay? I was like, this is too much, guys. Like, can we call it with the place and setting and street names. Like, I get it. I know where we are. We don't need to be talking about it 24/7. And then I went on Collins Street, and after Collins Street, I turned right onto Swanson Street, and no. But basically, this is a story of insta-love between two women. So one day, while she's working in her daddy's shop, a very pretty lady comes in and she's like, wooga! And they very soon have a Brokeback Mountain scene while they go out on a little camperoo. But then I'm going to actually just read the plot just to see if this is in the blurb so I don't spoil anything. Okay, it just says when tragedy strikes, she's sent to the Q. Once again, like, they've got to tell you exactly where she's going, which real place, Q Lunatic Asylum, because she's not coping with the tragedy very well. And while she's there, she sort of decides to become selectively mute, so selective mutism, and then goes on a hunger strike, and then they force feed her, and she's like, okay, well, no, I don't like that. So she gets her voice back, but she decides to stay there. So she's really not trying to get herself removed from this asylum. And this book, for me, it was just very dull. It was so boring. Even in the mental asylum, it's not very dark, okay? She's having an okay time, to be honest with you. Yeah, they kind of show that, you know, male doctors in that day treated women with hysteria, you know. They treated women as these, like, fragile, hysterical creatures. But there wasn't a lot of abuse being shown, so it's not that kind of book. So it was very hard to believe why she would continue to stay there, why she wouldn't return to work, because in this book, she tells you how important it is for her job, with her father's business, and she's sort of allowing that to rot while she rots there. And then you've got the relationship between these two women. So the other woman, I think her name was Flora. She's engaged to be married to a man because that's what was done in the day. And she still asks if Charlotte will be her lover, and Charlotte is so aghast and horrified and angry. She's very angry at Flora for suggesting a thing, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I think Flora was being reasonable for the time. She's like, hey, I'm marrying this guy, but we can have an arrangement where I just give him a baby and then he does his own thing, and then you and I can do our own thing, and we're just married in, like, name only after I've given them an heir. And yeah, you can even come and live with us. I don't see all the hatred towards Flora, but look, this book, I didn't like the romance, okay? I didn't like this insta love. It felt so surface level too. I did not feel the depths of the romance in this book whatsoever. I did not like Charlotte as a character. I questioned a lot of her choices and the way she would respond or react really to things. And just a lot of it just felt very contrived and just didn't make sense. And there wasn't any real plot, man. There wasn't any real story. This is really a romance book, and I'm surprised I didn't write that. Besides lesbian. I guess maybe the lesbian is to stand for the romance. I don't know. Because, like, lesbian doesn't always mean romance, just means there's queer depictions of relationships. So yeah, this is a romance book set in historical time in Melbourne. That is very forced down your throat. It's in Melbourne, guys, in this time period. I'm going to tell you about these real places repeatedly. So I really dislike this book. I've given it a 2.5 stars. Why it was that long, I don't know, but yeah, this was a bust for me. I think, though, if you want a very quiet, chill story and you're very into knowing what was the city CBD like in the 1890s in Melbourne, this would be the book for you. The next book I picked up was the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez, which is a second in the Friend Zone. And this is about a grieving woman whose boyfriend has died. She ends up literally with a dog in her lap. Some dog just parachutes through her sunroof one day, and she couldn't find its owner. But 2 weeks later, its musician owner finally gives her a call and was like, hey, I want my dog back. And she's like, well, you're going to have to prove to me that you really love this dog, because I've fallen in love with him and I would like to keep him. And what kind of owner doesn't know their dog's missing for 2 weeks? This is unfortunately my least favorite Abby Jimenez book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I just didn't like the plot or the two main characters. So already I agree with Sloan about the fact that if your dog goes missing for 2 weeks and you're uncontactable and you don't even know, and you've just left your dog with a random fuck buddy, you're a shitty person. And he also crates his dog, which I think is an American thing. We don't crate. My dog, when I had a dog, slept wherever they wanted in the house. No issues. So I find the whole crating thing weird. I don't really think a lot of Australians do that. They sort of just let the dogs sleep where their dogs want to sleep, or they might have a dog bed, but we don't do the crating thing. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. He's a musician as well, and I don't know why, I don't like reading about musicians in the music industry in books. It's sort of similar, I guess, to social media and like television and acting. I just don't like entertainment career centered books, I guess. So we've got him. And then with Sloane, I understand she's been grieving for 2 years. It's very hard. It's very difficult to try and move on from a lost love, but she's still very reactive in this book. So she's constantly misunderstanding and blowing up. And then once she's calmed down, actually allowing him to explain the situation and then saying, oh, I'm sorry, I react that way. So I don't love that. I don't like reading about that. I get like, that they're real flawed people, but this one, in this case, I was just like, because it ended up leading into this third act breakup that was just, it was ridiculous from both of their ends. The way he responded to this in trying to do the right thing by Sloane, I'm like rolling my eyes, like this is so dumb. This is so dumb. So yeah, it was just a situation of, like I said, the characters and the plot wasn't for me. It's still Abby Jimenez, so I still enjoyed the rest of it. If you can understand, if you catch my drift, which is why I gave it 3.5 stars. But yeah, the setup and the characters wasn't for me. There's one more book of hers I haven't read. It's the first in this series. I might read the plot first and just make sure there's no sort of tropes or character profiles in there that I don't like, because I don't want to rate her books less than a 4-star because I love her stuff, but this one just didn't hit for me. And each chapter started off with like a song from a playlist. So I know some people go nuts for that. I don't really care for it. But yeah, the music element and touring and all that sort of thing was very strong in here. The final thick book I read for this reading vlog was How to Summon a Fairy Godmother, the first in the Fairies and Familiars series by Laura J. Mayo. This is a fantasy romance. They also said it's cozy and historical because it's giving a bit, Pride and Prejudice, but it's also a fairy tale retelling. So this one is about Cinderella's nasty stepsister, Theodosia, or Theo, to her friends, of which she has none. And basically in this one, Cinderella's gotten her prince. She's escaped from her evil stepmother and her horrid stepsisters. And Theo is about to be married off to a real gross old guy. But he's a duke, but he's disgusting. And she's like, no, hard pass. And she's trying to find a way out of it because her mother is still cruel and evil, just like she was in the other one. And she doesn't give a shit about what Theo wants. She wants the money. So Theo ends up going through all of Cinder's crap because Cinderella left it all behind in her hasty departure. And she finds a spell on how to summon a fairy godmother. So she does, and she winds up with a deal, with a bargain. And the fairy bargain is that she must complete 3 tasks to try and turn her into a good person, and then the fairy godmother will get her out of her marriage. Naturally, Theo gets more than she bargained for. She is unlikable. So I want to stress that. I was in the beginning spite reading this because I was like, I hope you pay your comeuppance, bitch, because she was awful. Just an awful person to everyone around her, to children. And I get it. Some awful stuff happened to you in your childhood. Just because monstrous things happen to you doesn't mean that you have to be a monster to everyone around you. So I don't love that they kind of try to use that a little bit as an excuse as to why she became so cold and hardened, because yeah, a lot of her actions were just way too mean. There's closing yourself off to people because of trauma, and then there's lashing out and intentionally hurting others, which is what she was doing. There ends up being a love triangle. I really don't like love triangles at all. I definitely preferred her with Locke over Kazra. Kazra I wanted to keep for myself, that foxy man. And with Locke, there is a fallout between Theo and Locke, and I don't think it's justified. Personally, I think Locke didn't do anything wrong and didn't really do anything that hurtful. But I guess they want to separate, her from the boys at the end of the book. But yeah, look, I would say it's more for the plot and the characters rather than the romance in this particular one. I found the writing enjoyable. I thought it was kind of funny. And like I said, I was kind of hate reading to see Theo really get her karma. But then, was I rooting for her in the end? Kind of. I kind of was, to a certain, but it wasn't, oh, I hope you get a happily ever after. It was, oh, I hope you don't suffer too terribly. And I feel like what happens with her is very reasonable and satisfying. in its way. So I really enjoyed it. It was a 4.5 stars, and I will continue with the series because I believe there is another one. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting, in every single video you see me constantly touch my nose, and it's not a coke habit, it is cat hair. I always have cat hair on my face and then I breathe it in. But yes, 4.5 stars. Did enjoy, was a fun time. And then I thought I would add a little bonus shortie in here to slot in between the thick tomes. And it's because it was available in audiobook and I stumbled across it and it was only 4 hours and I thought, why not? And it is called Princess Florinda and the 40 Flight Tower by Tamsin Muir and narrated by Moira Quirk. This is another fairy tale retelling, but this one kind of subverts the fairy tales. You've got a princess trapped in a tower by a witch, and on each flight of the tower there is a monster that a prince must slay. And so far none of the princes have made it past the second level, in which there is a dragon, a diamond dragon. That dragon has crunched all 25 princes who have attempted to scale the tower to rescue Florinda. So Florinda decides, fuck this shit, I'm gonna try to get out of here myself. Basically, she's got 2 loaves of bread that regenerate and replenish, a carton of milk, a carton of water, which also replenish, and 1 orange that regenerates. So she's trying to just use what she's got to get out. And the first level she goes down has some goblins and things get nasty. Things do not go to plan. Obviously, she's a soft princess who's never had to even take care of herself in any way whatsoever, and that is very apparent. Luckily for her, she stumbles across an injured fairy named Cobweb, and while Cobweb is convalescing, she uses Cobweb's mind for strategy and science to try and defeat the monsters. Like I said, it's not what you think it's going to be. It really does subvert the fairy tale tropes. So this goes in I'd say a dark direction, and I enjoyed it. It is full on. There is body horror in this, which is really disgusting. But I was along for the ride to see, whoa, how is this going to end? Where is this going? I don't think it's going to. And then, yeah, the way it finished, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I can see it though. I can see it. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave this one a 4.5 stars and highly recommend if you want a quick, entertaining read that isn't your typical princess in a tower situation, as long as you can stomach the horror elements in it. Oh, I forgot to mention that How to Summon a Fairy Godmother was 386 pages. I don't actually have a lot of long books on my TBR, but my TBR is quite scant at the moment. I've read a lot this month, and I've just completely whittled it down. So there's not a lot of books on there that are even out. A lot of them are books that have yet to be published, but I did the best with what I could. So to sum up the books that I read in this reading vlog, we have The House of Longing by Tara Calaby, which I gave 2.5 stars. Happy Ever After Playlist by Abby Jimenez, which I gave 3.5 stars. Princess Florinda and the 40 Flight Tower by Tamsin Muir, I don't know how to pronounce her surname, which I gave 4.5 stars. How to Summon a Fairy Godmother by Laura J. Mayo, which I gave 4.5 stars. And Lost Gods by Brum, which I gave 4.5 stars. So this was a very successful selection of books. I enjoyed pretty much almost all of them except for one, and that was one that I was forced to read for my book club. So I'm a pretty happy chappy. I'm now going to leave you with a very casual, low-key review of some snacks that I got thanks to Tom. So my kids and I ate some American foods and rated them. So feel free to skip that or watch that if you want, but be warned, it's loud sounds of me chewing food in my pajamas because I was extra ill on this day. So hey guys, welcome to the taste test portion. So these are treats that I got thanks to Tom, and I thought I would taste test them on camera. I'm in my pajamas. I have a horrible migraine today, so I am feeling like a walking corpse. But food is food, and I will eat food no matter how I'm feeling. So let's have a look. Before I start the treats, I did also get 2 other things. So I got a whole bunch of books, but also got some other things thanks to Tom. So I got this little crochet flower for the lounge room, since the color theme is green and pink, and I can't crochet tiny stuff for shit. I don't have the fine motor skills for very delicate work, so I've always wanted one and now I've got one. I also got a pumpkin spice candle. So even though it's spring here in Australia, I know it's fall up north, and pumpkin spice is sort of synonymous with that. And I love the smell of pumpkin spice, and currently there's none of those candles available because we're in spring. So I thought I'd get one. Let's see what it smells like. Oh, that's so fucking good. Oh, it's so good. That's so beautiful. Oh, I could just sniff it all day. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy that. That is so good. Luckily, we've still had some cold days because we're just still in the first month of spring. So on the cold days, I will be burning that shit up. Okay, what am I gonna start with? Oh, there's so many. I think there's one more thing to come. I'm gonna start with cheddar goldfish because I like cheese.
Have you gotten into the cheese? There's all cheese section. I bet there is. I went nuts.
Because I like cheese. And you see these all the time, like in American shows, goldfish. So I know you guys are probably like, oh, Chanel, you haven't picked the good stuff, but I don't know what the good stuff is in terms of American candy and snacks. So let's have a look. This is so big. Is this family size? I was gonna say, this is massive. All right, can I open it? So what I'm going to do is I'll wait until I open it. That was so rookie, like talking to you while it's crinkling. I'm going to try them. I'm going to rank them out of 10, and then I'm going to get my kids to do it later, but I'll just put their tallies up on the screen because I don't film my children. But let's see. Oh, look at the little fishy. It's so cute. This tastes like something I know. I know what it tastes like. We have, I think they're cheddar something, Arnott's biscuits. I'll put them up here. These taste exactly like that. They're not bad, but it is very, very similar to something we've got here. Not as cute. The fish are cute. I'm going to give that one a 5. Okay, we'll still eat all those up. All right, I may as well do the cheddar one, the next cheese one as well. So I got these Quaker's cheddar rice crisps, family size once again. So we'll try these ones out, see which one's the better cheddar. So that's what they look like. This cheddar flavor is much sharper. The other one was a bit more bitter. I like those ones more. These ones are good. I do like those. I'm probably gonna rate those. Oh, I'd say 7.5, because I think after a handful, I wouldn't want any more because it's just so strong with the flavor. But I do like those. Okay, now I've got some sweet treats. So, Chex Mix, sweet and salt. I've always seen this thing, Chex Mix, and I think it is just like a bunch of, okay, it says it on the back. We've got corn Chex, round pretzel, vanilla cookie, wheat Chex, square pretzel, vanilla breadstick. So I will try all of them. These are so big. Oh, they're so tiny. Look how little it is. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, so what's this one? I think this is corn Chex or wheat Chex. They look very similar, but I'll just try this one. That's corn. Not bad, not bad. What does the wheat one look like? Okay, maybe the browner one. Hey, blue. Yeah, so the wheat one is more deflated and brown. I like the corn one more. We're going for the breadstick. That's a bit plain. A bit plain Jane. All right, try this one. Pretzel. Pretzels are always good. But you do need water
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
All right, now we've got the square pretzel. I like the square pretzel more because there's more pretzel. And then we got vanilla cookie. Kind of tastes similar to the breadstick. I think the breadstick did not need to be in here. I'm going to grab a few at a time. Oh, that's good. These are good, but they're making me thirsty. But I actually really do like these. Okay, so my favorite is the square pretzel and then the round pretzel because they've got more salt on them. And I like the balance of the salt with the sweet. And then I go vanilla cookie, corn checks, wheat checks, and vanilla breadstick. So these were good. I know these have a lot of different flavors. So let me know if there's a better flavor of the Chex Mix, but I do like these. I'll probably give these an 8 out of 10. We have to get a movie now because I've got like all these movie snacks. And then we've got pumpkin spice almonds because like I said, we're just starting to get into sort of the pumpkin spice thing in Australia. And I think it's because Starbucks, I think this year did this pumpkin spice latte, but you know, I don't buy from Starbucks. So I'm hoping we will go more down that road. Let's have a look. Let's have a smell first. It smells good. It smells good. Oh, I've got high hopes. I do love nuts in my mouth.
Put them in your mouth and suck them and suck them.
Like, almond is good. They're subtly sweet. They're definitely spicy, but there's some flavor there. I haven't read the ingredients. I'm tasting something. Peanut oil, corn syrup. We don't have a lot of corn syrup stuff in Australia. Yeah, there's something there, but it kind of tastes like a candle, if that makes sense, because I think I just smelt that candle and now I've correlated them, but I still do really like them. There's so many nuts to this. Is this family size too? No? They're addictive. I don't even know how many I've eaten by now. I think it's one of those like dangerous snacks where you just mindlessly eat because they're very easy to eat. I do like these, but there's something in there. And I'm like, I know that taste. I don't think it's candle. I was being a bit redonkulous with that, but I think this is my favorite one. This is definitely going to sit at my desk. Bubbles, did you just sniff the flame? Are you okay? Blue? So yeah, these will be my work snacks. I'm interested to see what the kids think. We've still got one more snack to go, and it's a bag of potato chips of a certain flavor. I think this is still going to be my favorite. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I really, really, really like this. I don't think the kids will like these because they don't really like almonds. They're gonna be like, why didn't you get cashews? Because they didn't have them. They had almonds. I think my favorite nuts, Brazil nut, because they actually help with my health condition. One of my health conditions requires like extra selenium. But otherwise to snack on, my favorite nuts, they're probably either pistachios or cashews. I say they were, oh no, but there's pecans. Hold on 1 second, let me think. Oh, look, I think if you put all three in front of me, probably not pistachios, they're out, but it's a tough thing. If they're not salted, pecans win. But if there's salted, no, actually I'm going pecan. Pecans are my favorite. I probably had like so much food stuck in my teeth. I think the kids are gonna love the way that the goldfish look. Like Indy's just gonna go bonkers for that because they're so cute. But Indy also loves pretzels. So my guess is that Indy will like, oh, it's so hard because she loves goldfish, but she loves pretzels, but the pretzels are sweet. And she's not a very sweet girl. Both of my kids are savory kids, which is probably good for them. They, you know, in the long term, but I'm a sweet tooth. I'm not a savory girl. I think Indiana's going to pick goldfish. And I think Valentine is going to go for the snack that hasn't arrived yet because she eats what the chips are flavored as every single day. It's like one of her favorite snacks. So that's my guess. I don't think anything's going to beat this for me. I think this is my numero uno. But yeah, I'd probably say my least favorite was the cheddar goldfish just because it tastes exactly like a cheese biscuit that we have here. So I'm like, I wanted something, you know, new and funky fresh. Thanks, Tom. You've fed us for ages. Okay, so the last snack came in really late at night. So we've already tried it and it was kettle crinkle cut dill pickle chips. I don't really like it. I don't really like it. I probably give this a 5. Like, it's okay. It's nothing that I would source out or want a lot of. And surprisingly, V didn't like it at all, even though she freaking loves pickles. So the kids didn't like this. And I'll put their ratings up above of what their favorite was. Obviously, my favorite were the pumpkin almonds, which are way too goddamn addictive. My guts are not happy with the amount of those almonds that I've been eating on a daily basis, but very tasty. And surprisingly, both of my children went for the cheddar rice wheels. They went bonkers over them, even though they didn't give them a 10. Every day, they're eating them up like little mice. I guess my kids love cheese as well.
I can ignore the cheese.
Yeah,
it's
we'll
not.
talk
I'm
about
sorry.
the
Just do it.
All right.
So thanks, Tom, for that. And that's it. See you guys. And until next time, stay wild, Star Child.